Well, the parents of a baby born at home 3 weeks early are calling out the federal and New South Wales governments' claims that the healthcare system is coping, saying their baby nearly died because of delays. Alex Moir had to drive his wife Melanie and newborn baby Ethan to hospital, while Melanie, a trained midwife, performed CPR after the 000 operator was unable to tell them when an ambulance would arrive. New South Wales Ambulance has apologised to the Moir family and is reviewing the incident. Melanie and Alex Moir join us now, and of course Ethan as well. First of all, how is baby Ethan doing?
He's doing really well, thanks for asking. I mean, he's having a little bit of a whinge now. I think we're getting to witching hour.
So Ethan decided to come 3 weeks early, but when did you realise you and your little beautiful baby were in trouble?
Well, it all did happen very quickly, so there wasn't too much time. Obviously, being a trained midwife made me sort of feel, probably more comfortable than others in the situation. But I mean, basically, Ethan was ready, and he sort of shot out a bit of a rocket and 2 contractions onto the bathroom floor. Didn't give me much time to think, really. Basically, it was just over an hour. So I wasn't panicked at that stage. When he was first born, the birth was normal. I was just doing my thing, kind of drying him, stimulating him. But yeah, I guess it was sort of maybe a couple of minutes after he was born and I realised he wasn't sort of transitioning to life outside the womb as newborns should. Then he really wasn't making much effort to even try. He didn't, the cry that you see in all the movies, he didn't do that. He was just white and floppy and just staring up at me with his big eyes and just, remained white as a ghost. He wasn't pinking up. So, after a couple of minutes, I sort of started just giving him breaths to encourage that sort of transition. And I knew we had a limited amount of time before we needed to get him medical attention.
And Alex, your very passionate post on social media has gone viral. You're quite pointed in your criticism of both New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet and the Prime Minister Scott Morrison. What do you think they could have done differently to avoid situations like yours happening in a pandemic?
I'm not sure whether I necessarily have the answers of what they could have done differently, but what I do know is that the narrative we were seeing, that the health system is strong and it's coping, it didn't reflect the situation that we were in. And then, over the course of the first few days in the NICU, after we'd gotten to hospital and gone through a pretty, terrifying ordeal, it sort of set in that, not every parent would have, a partner like Melanie that's medically trained and able to deal with that situation of unexpected birth at home. And I just sort of continue to see this kind of narrative of it being strong and coping, and also just overhearing conversations from healthcare workers about how much duress they're under. And I guess that's when I started to get, pretty angry after we knew that Ethan was going to be okay. I was angry at the situation we found ourselves in, that we couldn't get an ambulance and that we had to put Ethan at further risk by driving him to hospital ourselves, because we were the lucky ones in all this, as dramatic as it was. But there would be so many other parents that, wouldn't have a medically trained person there with them, and that would be even more remote from a hospital that we don't want any parent to go through.
Well, Alex and Melanie, we're really pleased that you are all there together and doing well tonight. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thanks
for
so much,
having us.
guys.
Geez, what an incredible story. But luckily, that one has a happy ending. And I think the point that needs to be made here is this is not uncommon. Just a friend of mine just a week ago, so she's Indigenous, super fit. She had COVID and realised she wasn't she wasn't able to breathe. She lives alone. She called for an ambulance and was told it would be 4 hours before one could get to her. And so she lived about 10 minutes walk from the local hospital and decided to try and walk there because she didn't want to jump into an Uber or a taxi. Collapsed in emergency, was taken in and put on oxygen for a couple of days. So I wonder how many more people are in that situation. It's incredible.
Whatever the frustration, don't take it out on the person offering you the care.
Yeah.
It's an important lesson for everyone during these
true.
very difficult times.